Hi there, Stampers! Today we are going to make this really beautiful card using the Stampin' Up! Autumn Splendor Stamp set, and this leaf is colored with a really beautiful technique called the ink refill drop. I hope you'll enjoy it. I'm going to start with using this shimmery white cardstock from Stampin' Up! You'll see it's got some shimmer in it. It's a really beautiful cardstock, and it's going to just add some pizzazz to our project. I'll be using the Autumn Splendor Stamp set, and I'm going to take the big leaf for this one, which is this one right here. I'm going to use Stampin' Up's basic brown water-based ink pad. This is our classic ink pad. I'm using this one because it has some waterproofing in it, so that the color won't bleed when we use the aqua painter on it. We'll ink up our stamp. Stamp it right down on the shimmery white cardstock. Now to house our ink pad refills, I'm just using an empty rhinestone brad container, and I'm just going to take the lid, and that's what I'll put the refills in. I'm taking more mustard, ruby red, and not quite navy, and dropping them just a couple of drops each into this lid. You could also use the top to a Pringles container or wax paper if you didn't have either of these available. Next, I'll be using an aqua painter from Stampin' Up! This has a refillable tube that just has tap water in it, and a brush tip end here. Then I'm going to take the aqua painter, squeeze the tube a little bit so it's really wet on the tip, and just wet our leaf. And this is where the basic brown with the waterproofing comes in handy. I'm going to take a little bit of more mustard to start, and I'm just going to drop the color. And you see how it spreads so beautifully here. I'm going to start with the lighter and then go to a darker ruby red and do the same, just drop. And you see how beautifully these two colors blend together because the leaf is already so wet. And I'm just going to spread it around a tad and pick up some of the not quite navy and touch that right on there. And you see how beautifully that bleeds right in. And I'll just blend in any little drops that I feel need a little extra attention. When I'm done, we have a beautiful piece of watercolor art here. You can leave this aside to let it dry. You'll want it to be completely dry, and then we're going to cut out the leaf. Thanks to the magic of video, our flower is done. I have cut it out, and you can see, to shine the light on there, how shimmery and beautiful it is on the shimmery white paper. Next, I'm going to take some of Stampin' Up's Crystal Effects and drop just a couple little accents onto our leaf. These will be dew. The base of our card is ivory confetti cardstock. This is a half a sheet of 8.5 by 11, and I'm just going to fold it in half. And to layer on top of that is a piece of chocolate chip. To layer on that is some of Stampin' Up's designer paper. This is called Autumn Meadows. It's double-sided, and I always feel bad for the side that I'm not putting out on display. But I thought these two just looked the most beautiful with the card. And I'll just use a little snail. Okay, this top panel is 2 inches, and this bottom panel is 1 3/4 inches, and they're both 5 inches in width. And the chocolate chip panel that I'm layering it on is 4 inches high by 5 1/4 wide. And then this panel will layer right on top of our confetti ivory. This is another design from the Autumn Meadows paper. I know I feel bad for these leaves on the back that are going to be hidden. And then this panel layers on top of a panel of not quite navy. And these will go right here. First, I'm going to tear this edge. Just tear it towards you. And then I'm just going to take a Stampin' Up! Bone folder. Just to give it a little character, I'm just roughing up that torn edge and curling it a little bit. The bone folder will loosen up the fibers and make it easy just to curl just a hair with your fingers. I'm going to take a piece of wide chocolate chip grosgrain ribbon from Stampin' Up! And we need to cut this piece to cover this panel here because I'm going to wrap it right around the back. And then I'm going to take some Fresh Favorites buttons. I'm going to take one of the not quite navy buttons and some linen thread. I'm going to thread that linen thread right through the button, around this piece of chocolate chip ribbon, and then up through the other side of the button. So the thread is actually going around the piece of chocolate chip ribbon. And I'll just snip that off its spool and tie that in a knot. And when I tie that, you see how it gathers the chocolate chip a little bit to give it a little character. To our base panel with some snail. And for our last step, I'm just going to take some Stampin' Dimensionals. We'll put 2 on the back of our leaf and layer it down. And voila! Our card is complete. Thanks for joining us today.